Hello everyone, welcome back to that cyber guy. All right, so today we are going to discuss this. So last week we had a demonstration where we just scan a website with DirBuster. So DirBuster allow security professionals to scan website to see, if the folders they are actually protected. So as we mentioned from last week videos, it's very important to ensure that you only test either your website or website that you have permission to. So this was the outcome of our result last week. So the purpose of this video today is to ensure that we go over it now from a security standpoint. What should we do? Let's say that we hire a security professional and then they bring this to us. This is what they found, and then this is what we are going to discuss today. We are going to go over all this. Now, are you ready to just deep dive and understand all this? Buckle up and let's get started.
Learn cybersecurity in no time.
Now, before we get started, there are three things I want to mention. So we have the 401 response, 200 response, and 302 response. So HTTP response, they are HTTP response. So I would highly recommend you, if you are having trouble understanding these concepts, I would recommend you to go back to our uh, networking, the networking chapters. We have a networking area into our channels where you can just go and we have about 10 videos. So HTTP response codes are server message. So they indicate the outcome of a client request. Now, if you see like a 403 response, this is, the forbidden status code, meaning that the server understood the request, but it's not going to authorize it. And then the 200 response, you probably are familiar with it. This means that, everything is okay. And the 302 is like temporary redirect. So the 302 status code indicate that the request resource has been temporarily moved to a different URL, and the browser is automatically redirect to the new location. But the original URL should still be used for future requests because the move is not permanent. So let's just go ahead and just get started. So I wanted to just give you a heads up about those three HTTP response, so you can have a better insight. All right, let's start from the beginning right here. So from our report right here, we have a 403 response and then CGI dash BIN. So the directory. This is what it tells us here. The directory exists, but access is denied. So you have to remember, from our explanation earlier, 403 is like is like forbidden. But the problem here is the fact that even though the access is denied, attackers now they know the file is there, which could invite them for like brute force or misconfiguration attempts. So although there is a 403 error message, it is forbidden, but the attackers knows there's that folder. The folder is right there. Now we have the 200 response, which is like the Ajax or Ajax. I mean Ajax images, and then the shop, HTTP, Flash, etc. All these folders these are probably publicly accessible information that are there. But the thing that we are blind on, we are like, okay, what is inside images? Hopefully is only images, and there's no sensitive file that attackers can harvest. And then the 302 response, let's see, user info. Let's jump down right here. Dash PHP. So the 302, as we explained, is a redirect response like that could indicate like authentication or session handling endpoint. So let's just go to with the mitigation step. For the first one, for the CGI-BIN. So what we will do, we'll ensure that the directory aren't accessible externally unless absolutely necessary. Yeah, for example, if you're on a server and then you have like you see there's a public.html. If you have to have a server, the server has a like public.html, and inside that public folder, this is where like you have all the file that you want your client to see, like home page, etc. So this is where you can move this if it doesn't have to be like accessible to client. You can just potentially just remove it from the public.html file folder and just leave it outside, so it's not accessible. And then what you can actually do as well to do so, you can actually use that ht-access. Now let me see if Firefox gonna behave and open for us today. Because if we can just Google that ht access. Yeah, that ht access is a file that you have into your server that you can actually define, okay, which file a client can see, which file whoever is visiting this website can see. Now I will encourage you, to go. You can go online and just learn about ht access. As you can see, this is a little bit slow, but you can just go to Google and search what is that ht access and how to just stop access from for any file or folders into your website. All right, now we can just go ahead and minimize this. And then the other thing, like you can harden file permissions. For example, you can one thing that I see they use a lot of PHP. Yeah, what you can do, you can limit execution permission on scripts. Like for example, that's PHP, and I see there was another extension SWF to only what is required. You can remove unused file. Example, test script, guestbook-php, right here. You can just remove any unused file. For authentication, so this is as you are going down, you see login.php. This PHP file has authentication mechanism in it. So what we can do, we can just ensure that they are strong. This is protected with strong authentication. Ensure that session management is there. For example, if you want to use like GWT token, you can just do that as well. You can do like we can some people they try to do obfuscation. So this is not security. Don't try to rely on like hidden directories. Yeah, because if they are accessible on dir browser, so any attacker can find it. And for search that PHP right here, now what I will do, because I know that this is a form, like a form where users can potentially add information, make sure that you have input validation. You know what I mean? I see another one that say card.php is probably something that asks users for input. So you can just, ensure that, you have good input validation and output sanitization, and validate, all users input, and then sanitize their output. I know that, many users, they don't like it. When you go to your website, you try something and it say and an error has occurred. I think this is kind of very frustrating, but this is a good security practice because as a developer, you have to make sure that you give a very random error message that doesn't reveal anything about your system. And then you can just make sure that if you have SQL, you just prepare all your statement. And the big piece is logging and monitoring. Make sure that you have like good logging monitoring in place. I know many SIEM softwares, they are very expensive. Like if you were to use Splunk or Datadog, but you can use other mechanism, like in backup and make sure that you log users activities, so you know who did what and when. And then patching is very important. Make sure that you keep that server update PHP. If we want, if you want, you can actually go to do a scan to see what the version of the PHP they are using. You can use like something like uh, 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 Nmap to just see what's going on. Now let's just have a quick checklist. I think I go over all the file. you know Remove unnecessary file in directory, restrict access with several rules with HA access, secure authentication endpoints. You can just use like or the mechanism like GWT, etc., and use input validation and sanitize user output. Monitor log for suspicious activities and patch outdated component. Now, yeah, this is all that I have for you today. If you have any questions or if you have other like security approach that you take, please let me know into the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, happy learning.